o'clock, so we're going to get started. There'll be some more coming in, and that's great. If you haven't already, make sure you get a book, one free per household, and then notes. Everybody can get a set of notes. And then if you haven't registered for our prize drawings, we've got 3 different prize drawings. You're welcome to come on up and while I'm talking and register for those. There's 3 different things, and so read the bucket and see which ones you qualify for. Put your name in there. We draw for prizes very last thing. Anyone know why we do it last? You haven't figured it out yet. You got to be present to win. And so don't get up and leave at the end or anything. Stick around. We'll end promptly at 8 o'clock, and then we'll do our prize drawings. And we'll give away 6 of those prizes on that table. Well, good evening. My name is Kobe. It's great to see some new faces tonight. I spent $270 on Facebook ads. I don't like Facebook. I don't want to support Facebook. However, it works. I see a lot of new faces tonight, and we're glad you're here. Hopefully you'll keep coming back. We meet right here at this place the second Friday evening of every month. With one exception, we're not going to meet in September, because in September we have our bug out camp, and we will be down in Cassville area for our bug out camp. So you're welcome to join us for bug out camp in September, but we will not have our regular monthly meeting. If you'll pull out your notes, we'll briefly go down the announcements real quick before we get started. We do meet the second Friday each month at 6 o'clock. Our meetings last 2 hours. Sometimes I'm the speaker. I'm Kobe. I'm kind of the leader. But we have other folks that teach too. And so one of the things we'll talk about is if you have a skill or something you would like to present to the group, come see me. We're always looking for people who are knowledgeable about something or would like to share what they're doing. And so that way you guys don't have to listen to me every month. Next month on July 14th, that's the second Friday, we will be talking about the top 100 items to stock. So, people say, well, what should I stock? Obviously water and food and maybe ammo or this or that or whatever. We're going to talk about the top 100 items and give you an opportunity to think through some things you may be preparing for and what you may need to have. August 11th, we will talk about the top big items you may want to purchase. And we kind of define big item about $200 or more. So some of the more expensive things, maybe a generator, maybe solar panels, maybe night vision goggles. I don't know. We're going to talk about what are maybe some of the big items that you may want to prep if you've got some extra money. Maybe something you can ask for Christmas or something. We're also going to have a presentation by Dan talking about portable power stations. He has built one himself, and he presented at a different group a couple of weeks ago and had great feedback there. So he's going to come teach us how to build a portable power station. That would be interesting. Then again, September 8th, we will not have a meeting. We're only going to have our bug out camp. So it brings me to bug out camp. The next thing, Ozarks Bug Out Camp for 2023 is September 14th through the 17th. That's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And you do not have to come or stay all the days. You can come and go. You can stay just for the day one time. You can stay overnight one night or 2 nights or 3 nights. Whatever you want to do, it's come and go. However, if you plan to attend and you plan to stay overnight, you need to make your own reservations at the campground. So we're at the Roaring River State Park, and they have hundreds of campsites. Most of them are filled at this point in time, but there's still some available as of today. So if you want to come and you want to stay overnight, go to the State Park, Roaring River State Park website, reserve a camping spot for your tent or for your RV, whatever you want to bring along, and come join us for Ozarks Bug Out Camp. What we will do next month, we're going to have a full agenda out and tell you everything about it. But basically, it's just a bunch of like-minded folks coming and camping out and getting to know each other and getting to share knowledge and information and skills. We teach on a lot of different subjects. A lot of times we're just sitting around the campfire and discussing different subjects. And it's a great experience. We invite you all to come out to that. If you do plan on attending, there's an email address there. That's me, swmoprepper@protonmail.com. Make sure you send me an email address and let me know you're coming. Okay? There is a $20 fee to come for the whole time, and that includes 2 meals, a meal on Friday and a meal on Saturday. Dan, I see your hand?
Yeah, just for those who might be interested, there is a lodge close by. There are other places to stay. If you don't want to sleep in a tent or a trailer or something, there is alternative lodging pretty close by. And they have a trout hatchery there. If you want to trout fish, catch your dinner or just fish, that's right there too. You just got to do the normal state fees, permits and all that. So you can fish for part of the day, come sit by a campfire part of the day. I just want to make sure everybody kind of knows there's a lot there more than just a campground.
Yeah, that's a great information. So Dan was one of our participants. He's one of our leaders this year helping plan it. And there is a nice hotel on site. If you like to camp like my mother likes to camp, and that's called a hotel, then there's a hotel there. And you can still join us for all of our activities and stuff like that. Any questions on bug out camp? Again, if you're planning on staying overnight, you probably need to get on that pretty quick, because even though they have hundreds of campsites, they are pretty full already and will probably fill up pretty soon. So if you're planning on staying overnight, you may want to take care of that. Pre-meeting activity. How do you currently store important electronics? Don't everybody talk at once.
On my desk.
On your desk, okay. I've got some of those on my desk. Okay.
I've got 1 or 2 in the Faraday cage.
Got a couple of items in the Faraday cage. And what is your Faraday cage made of?
I've got a cardboard box. My device is in a cardboard box, which is in another cardboard box, but it's wrapped in aluminum foil.
Okay. You got the aluminum foil. We'll talk about that. That's actually a very inexpensive and effective way to do it. Good. What other people? How do you store your electronics? Important electronics. Something you would want to preserve. Any other? Same thing there? Ashamed to say. Yeah. There's probably, Caleb.
In my garage.
In your garage. And what kind of Faraday cage do you have in your garage? None. And the things your important electronics all are black and yellow, correct?
Yep, named DeWalt.
Yeah. That's my son. I know his important electronics
like
are.
tools, right?
So, good. Well, those are some thoughts. I hope when we get done with tonight's meeting, you will have some ideas that you can go home and hopefully on a very small budget, you can protect some of those electronics that you might want to survive an EMP or a solar storm. That's the main topic tonight. But before we get into that topic, we're going to do our short topic today. And we generally try to do 2 topics tonight, one short topic and one long topic. Our short topic, my pointer over here.
I saw a video called Duck and Cover.
I unplugged my pointer, that's why it's not working.
50 tons of wood, so have you seen it? Michael showed me last night.
There we go. Talking about gold and silver. If you listen to talk radio, you're probably hearing ads about investments in gold and silver. And the stock market's going to plunge, the dollar's going to collapse, and gold and silver may be your best investment. Well, I think from a preparedness standpoint, having something invested in gold and silver is actually a really good idea. Now, I'm not talking investment like retirement investment. I'm not here to give retirement advice, but I'm here to give preparedness advice. So, in case of a catastrophic emergency, maybe a collapse of the U.S. dollar, collapse of the U.S. economy, maybe some type of a situation like an EMP attack that we're going to talk about tonight. If that happens, and we're back in the Stone Age, okay, would gold and silver be of value? Now, there's different philosophies on it. My personal philosophy is I want to be prepared for all situations. And so I personally have quite a large amount of money invested in physical gold and silver. Now, the word physical there is a really important part of that equation. Some people invest in in gold and silver mutual funds, or gold and silver stocks, or they invest in other types of ways that you can invest in gold and silver. And again, for retirement investment, those type of things, maybe that's great. But when I'm talking preparedness, I'm talking investing in a situation where if your gold and silver was in stocks, you're not going to have access to it. If your gold and silver was in a mutual fund or an EFT, some type of other investment avenue, you couldn't get to it in the type of situation that I'm preparing for. So all of my gold and silver is personally stored in physical gold and silver in a place where I can access it no matter what. Now, for those of you dying to know exactly where my gold and silver is, I'm not going to tell you that. I probably already told you too much, okay? But I will tell you this. I do recommend physical gold and silver. So when would you need it and why? Well, again, collapse of the dollar, collapse of the economy, any type of hitting the fan scenario where money might not work. And historically, you can go back and you can find all types of situations that have occurred in the past where currency became of no value. And in those situations, what is of value? Alcohol, absolutely. What else? Food, ammo, lead, precious metal of lead, okay. Gasoline,
Medicine?
tobacco, medication. All these things become of value to barter with, right? I'll trade you my food and you give me some water. I'll trade you my, medicine and you give me some ammo. Okay, by the way, I don't recommend bartering with ammo. Keep what you got. But the other thing that some people say will be of value for those purposes, trading purposes, is physical gold and silver. So that's why you might want to have it. How would you use it? Use it in a bartering type transaction. Payment is money. Okay? The sizes and types to acquire. So what I recommend is denominations of gold and silver that are easy to exchange in a bartering type situation. They're easily recognized as valuable and they're easy to exchange. So most of mine, I would say 85-90% of what I've invested in is actually what's called junk, 90% junk silver. Okay? So those of you that are older may remember when dimes, quarters, half dollars, and dollars, just the change in your pocket was actually 90% silver. Okay? What are the dates on that?
63 and
64 and below. So pre-65, or some people say 64 and below. Okay, so older. So anything, if you had, I don't know what this one is. Let's see the date on here real quick. It's a Liberty half dollar. 1940 is what it says. Okay, 1940. So this right here is a 50-cent piece, and it is made of 90% silver. And what's silver trading for today? Approximately $25. 24, I looked at it this morning. $24.59 an ounce when I checked it this morning. Okay? And a half dollar is how much? It's a half ounce. Okay? And it's 90% silver. So technically speaking, this is 0.45 of an ounce of silver. At $24.57 an ounce, that makes this value at, give or take, approximately $12 of silver. It's a 50-cent piece from the United States Mint. But because it is 90% silver, it's actually valued at about $12. Okay? Anything.
That's a quarter or a half dollar?
This is a $half.
Okay, thank you.
So, and I have some quarters here. I'm going to pass this around. I'm going to trust you steal from me. I'm going to pass this around.
Wow.
Okay? And what you will see in here is various examples of what is called 90% silver or junk silver. Okay? Everything out there, if you pull it out, is pre-1965, with some exceptions. There are still silver proof coins that the government even mints to this day. You can get an actual silver proof coin from the United States Mint, but those are generally not in circulation. If they're in circulation, then someone put it in there by mistake. That's in here. The other thing that some people say they may want to trade, and again, I have probably, I'd say 85% of my value is in junk silver. It's small denominations that you can easily trade. The other thing that I have a little bit of is this. What is this? It's a gold coin. So this gold coin here is a quarter of an ounce. It is approximately the size of a dime. How much is this quarter of an ounce coin worth today? Yeah. If I looked it up at several different websites today, if I was going to purchase this exact coin, it would cost me about $600. So when I say I'm going to pass this around, don't watch your neighbor and make sure they don't stick it in their pocket, okay? But I want you to see how small and how light $600 worth of gold is. Okay? So you can have a lot of value in a really small, compact thing and keep it in your pocket. But what's the disadvantage of using this for prepping?
Doesn't that make you an automatic target?
You can make an automatic target, but you can actually hide it pretty easy. What else? You can't break it down. It's hard to get change. Here's my $600 bill. I would like a loaf of bread. Give me change. Okay? It's worth $600 now. When the dollar collapses, it might be worth thousands. Of course, the dollar's collapsed, so the dollar's not worth anything. But it might be worth the food equivalent of thousands. So it's hard to barter and trade with something of such high value. I, again, have mostly put my money into the silver coins that have known value, but are much easier to barter and trade with. Okay? So, there's a couple of things I want you to learn here. First of all, I want you to consider whether in your situation you might want to invest in gold and silver. And I'm not selling it. I'm just giving you the information. I'll give you a couple of websites here if you want to buy some later. You can go to them. But I'm not selling gold and silver. I'm just giving you the information. Maybe you want to stock up some of this and keep it in a safe place. The other thing is knowledge. If it all hits the fan and you're trying to barter with somebody, they've got something that they're saying, hey, this is silver. You need to be able to identify, is this really silver or is this just a dime from 1980 that's worth nothing at that point? Okay? So the key thing to remember here is it is dimes, quarters, half dollars, and silver dollars pre-1965 or 64 and before. We clear there? Again, there are some situations where a modern coin could be silver, but that's not easy to determine on the fly. So look for things that are pre-1965. So your hand.
Gold would be used as investment. Silver would be.
Good point. Saying gold is an investment better, and silver for bartering. I don't think I can disagree with that. Thought of something. Where do you get it? So if you're interested in this, you think you may want to buy some, I've got some websites that are reputable. I'm going to give you that you can go to. So the first one I would recommend is AMPEX, AMPEX.com.
It's APMEX.
What's that?
It's APMEX. American Precious Metals Exchange.
Okay, I got that wrong. APMEX.com. I've been reading that wrong all along. Okay. So there's one. Providence.
Clearly stated, what is it?
APMEX.
Yep.
American Precious Metals Exchange.
APMEX.com. Okay? The other one that I recommend is
Mexican
Provident
EMP.
Metals, METALS.com. Provident Metals. Both of them are very reputable companies that will give you as good of a rate as anybody else. And they will, what they send you will be real stuff. You don't have to worry about buying it off eBay or Craigslist and someone sending you something that is not really gold or silver. Okay, questions on that? Okay. We've talked about those things. The other thing you get, I've invested solely in coinage. You can also buy little bars, 1 ounce bars or a 1/2 ounce bar of gold or silver and those type of things. What's that? Break off little pieces of bars. You can buy gold in grams rather than an ounce. A gram is very, very small, very weighty. I mean, it just, you put a gram of gold in your hand, and you can't even feel it sitting there. It's so small. But they can get a gram of gold. And a gram is, how many grams to an ounce?
31.1.
31.1. I heard 28.
That's
28.34.
That's vegetable ounces. Troy ounces is what precious metals is weighed in. And
Okay.
31.1.
31.1. Okay, good. You know more about it than I do. I don't collect any of the bars or anything like that. I only do the coins, so that's good to know.
I did
Okay.
a long time.
Did a long time. Sounds like this is the guy to come see afterwards if you got real questions about it. Very good. We need to have you speak about it next time. Okay, I'm going to start my little bag here over on this side. You're welcome to open it up and play around with it and look at it, see if you can see what's on there and that type of stuff. Just please make sure that I get it all back, specifically that little gold one that's inside there. So kind of pass it around and make sure everybody gets it throughout the evening. There you go.
Has all the junk silver been taken out of circulation, right?
Well, yes and no. When a bank receives the junk silver, their machines will detect it and take it out of service and send it back to the mint. Okay? However, so there shouldn't be any, you shouldn't get any change from Walmart or whatever that's junk silver. However, people are constantly, grandma collected all of her change in a pickle jar, and grandma died, and the descendants don't know that has junk silver in it, and they'll take it to the bank or they'll spend it at Walmart. So there is the possibility that when you receive change at a store or something, one of those coins may be junk silver and of significant value, potentially. Okay? So it never hurts to check, especially if you see something that kind of looks old. But not all junk silver looks old. Some of it is still minimally circulated. So let me tell you a funny story. The first time I learned about junk silver was probably 15 years ago when I'm sitting in my office. And I used to always put my extra coins kind of in my laptop desk drawer there. And I'm reading it, I'm kind of like, man, I wonder if I have any of these coins that are worth this extra money. And so I pull back and I pull out my desk drawer and I've got, a bunch of coins in there. Okay? And I start digging through it and pulling out all these coins that are pre-1965, and I think, man, I have hit the mother lode. I've got tons of these silver-looking coins that are pre-65. And I actually take a handful of them, and I go into a group of employees that were sitting at lunchtime. I said, look at this. Let me show you what I found. You need to go home and you need to search yours. And the guy looks at me and he goes, Kobe, you do realize those are called nickels. And nickels don't have any silver.
Is that from World War II?
Oh. Man. And literally he's right. Not a single one of those coins was of any significant value. Because in general, nickels do not fit that. Do not fit that rule. It's the dimes, the quarters, the half dollars, and the silver dollars. So don't go home and look through all your nickels. Okay? Look through your other stuff. Okay. Yes?
A good way to look at this is, you use the word invest, but a good way to look at this is that is money. And you are just converting some of your dollars to some other money. You know, and people go, well, I don't want to spend the money. You aren't spending the money. That is money just like this is. You're just diversifying your risk a little bit out of the dollar. So you're not investing in it. It is money just like, you know, the dollar is. It can be spent like as such if you just learn a little bit about it. And so, you know, it's like, oh, you're spending all your money. No, you're not. You're converting it to another, just like you would go convert your money to euros or something like that, another form of money. But it is money, you know, you didn't spend your money, you converted it. So it's a good way to look at it is you're converting money to diversifying your risk a little bit other than just spending your money, you know.
Not spending it, you're investing it.
It's a good way to think about it is you're just converting it to another money and not spending your money.
Isn't there a fee though to do it for some of these
There's
funds?
not necessarily a fee, but they do make a profit off that. So you're not getting what's called spot price, which is the actual market price for that.
So that's part is called a premium.
That's a
So
premium.
every coin, every bar, everything has a premium. So right now, on American Eagles, the Silver Eagle, you're probably gonna spend $15 on the premium. So a Silver Eagle is gonna probably cost you pretty close to $40, you know? And so even though the price per ounce of silver is like, you know, $24, $25 now, you're gonna spend $40 to buy one because of the premium. And there's different premiums on different coins. Junk silver has a premium over and above the silver price, and all the other coins have premiums. Gold coins usually range from 4 to 6% as a premium that you're going to spend extra. But when gold jumps from 2,000 to 3,000, you ain't going to really see too much about the premium. And plus, if you were going to sell your American Eagles right now, you could pretty much sell them for $40 and recover your premium. So even though your price is $25, you're still gonna. Right now, you could recover your premium easy.
Good. So, yeah, they do make money on it somehow, and that's that premium there. Good. Okay. On our next, tonight, when we talk about EMPs, solar storms, Faraday cages, and that type of thing, two sources that I've used. One is the book you have there, Dr. Arthur Bradley, PhD. He is a NASA scientist with a PhD in electrical engineering. He has been actively working on satellites and that type of thing, EMP protection, but that's his area of expertise. And so we will reference him a lot. And he wrote the book you have there. That's his website, Disaster Preparer. He is a preparedness person. So you can get mostly EMP related things there, but he also has other things at that website. And he has actually written this book also, Handbook to Practical Disaster Preparedness for the Family. And again, an excellent book you may want to pick up at his website there, disasterpreparer.com. By the way, for all of you that are new, all the stuff that I teach about, I'll have up on this table. It is not free items for you to come get. However, I do encourage you to come up and take a look at this stuff, get hands-on with it, look through it, and that type of thing. And if you want some of this stuff, you're welcome to pick it up on your own. The other source of a lot of information and the stuff that I have, EMP Shield of Kansas. There's their website, empshield.com. They sell a lot of the electronic devices that can protect your whole house, or your whole car, or your RV, your solar system, solar charging system, those types of things. And so I've got a lot of information from them. If you go to either one of those websites, I have subscribed, and we've got a coupon code you can use, Safety First. You type that in, you get 10% discount off anything you order from those guys. So what is an EMP? First, real simply, the letters stand for electromagnetic pulse. Okay? And it is a gamma radiation or waves. It's not visible, you can't see it. But what it does is it basically affects your electronics in this case. So technically, what we're going to talk about tonight is called a HEMP, a high altitude electromagnetic pulse. Okay? And how these are deployed? These are typically deployed from a nuclear missile. Okay? So, for example, we first discovered this in the Pacific Ocean when we were testing nuclear devices, even before we dropped the first one on Japan. And they noticed that when we set off these things, something happens. Our electronics go crazy and they're destroyed. And so they backed up further away from the device, and it still happened. And they backed up further again from the device when they set off the next one, and it kept happening. And so they started studying exactly what is this? What is this effect that happens when we set off this nuclear device? So as you can imagine, as we're now 80 years past Hiroshima and that first nuclear blast, okay? Our devices, our nuclear devices have grown significantly. Okay, they're much bigger, much more easy to deploy. We no longer have to fly a plane directly over where we want to drop it. We can launch it from a missile. We can launch it from a missile from the ground. We can launch it from the ocean, all kinds of different places. So anywhere we could deploy a nuclear missile to, we can deploy an EMP to. Okay? And the U.S. has these, China has these, Russia has these. Any of the nuclear powers has this capability. So it can be deployed from a nuclear missile or any type of nuclear device. You know, when the China balloon floated over the United States a few months ago, one of the things you may have heard is, well, what could this be? What could be in this balloon that was very large and carrying some type of cargo? Of course, what did China say it was?
Weather.
It's a weather balloon. Well, it was much bigger than a normal weather balloon. And so there's all kinds of speculation as to what it was. The U.S. government said it was what? It was a spy equipment, okay? I don't know that I trust the U.S. government any more than I trust the Chinese government. But I certainly don't believe it's a weather balloon, okay? So we'll go with spy equipment there. But that potentially could have been a nuclear device, which could have caused an EMP. Okay? So the EMP, how can it be deployed? Well, typically, to be most effective, it is detonated well above the Earth's surface. So what is the targeted height off the surface for an EMP?
60 to 90,000 feet.
Okay. I don't know what it is in feet, but I heard 250 to 300 miles. So a long, very, very high distance off of the surface of the Earth is the ideal deployment place. If you look, I think it's our next slide here. You have this map, it's part of your notes. This is a U.S. Army map from 1994, and they determined that if you detonated it 250 to 300 miles above that spot right there, that black spot, not the bigger green one above it, but the black dot, then the effects of the EMP would basically cover the entire United States in a single device. And that was back in 1994. In the 30 years since then, the technology has significantly improved and the weapons are much more powerful. So easily, a single device, properly targeted over the correct location, would absolutely affect the entire continental United States. So, with that in mind, how would we deploy any type of nuclear device? Who could deploy it? So who do we think would want to use that? What's that? China, Russia, those would be the two top possibilities, but also have North Korea, Iran, yeah, all of our favorite enemies list that would want to do something to the United States. And the interesting thing about this is, let's say someone like a North Korea wanted to do this, assuming they have nuclear technology and they have a missile, but maybe, as is historically true with North Korea right now, their missiles aren't the greatest, right? They tend to go up and don't go where they're supposed to go and end up in the ocean and that type of thing. But if they were going to launch one of these at the United States, it wouldn't have to get all the way to the ground. It could detonate high up in the atmosphere, 250 to 300 miles above. And if they got anywhere close
30 miles.
to the target, they could knock out half the United States or a third of the United States. Or they could do one over the West Coast and one over the East Coast and cover 90% of our population. My point is this: they don't have to be nearly as exact or as accurate as a nuclear device would have to be. So it would be much easier for them to deploy one of these than it would be for them to do a traditional nuclear strike. Most experts agree that if we ever get to the point where we're going to be in World War III, that an EMP device is probably the first shot. The first thing that's going to happen, if China or Russia or any of those other countries wanted to attack us, they would first send an EMP. Why?
Knock out all our communications.
Lock out our communications. Okay? Now, our military has been working for decades, now that they've known about this, to try to harden their communications and those types of things, but nothing's going to be perfect, and there's still going to be a huge impact to our country if one of these things goes off first, and a lot less ability to retaliate and strike. So that's why most experts believe that this is going to be the first thing that would happen if we ever get to a World War III type thing. Potential impacts. So the U.S. EMP Commission met several decades ago, and they determined that if a device went off like this, one single device, they determined that if that happened within 1 year, what percentage of the U.S. population would be dead? Some of y'all heard that report too. 90% of the U.S. population would be dead within 1 year of that one device going off. Why? The device itself would kill how many people? Zero. It goes off 250 miles above our country. The device itself kills 0 people. But the effect of the device, because we are so reliant upon electronics to do everything in our life, would kill within 1 year 90% of our people. Every major farmer out there uses electronics to do everything they do. You can't buy a new tractor that's not full of electronic chips. Most of them will plow the field on GPS, and you don't even have to touch the steering wheel. Every vehicle, every communication device, every refrigerator. Our life is so dependent upon electrical chips that literally 90% of us would die without them. And that's what this is talking about. Because an EMP will affect every electrical chip, the tiny little microchips from Silicon Valley. Every single electrical chip that is not protected will be fried instantly. Wow. You stop and think, how would I live my life without electrical devices? In our modern world, it's very, very, very difficult unless you are Amish or Mennonite. Okay. So, potential impacts. We got to first talk about the ways that an EMP affects electronics. And it's it's actually quite complicated. But I'm going to try to make it somewhat easy to talk about the 3 different impacts here. There's E1, E2, and E3. E1 is the first thing that happens with an EMP. It induces, when the EMP goes off, the magnetic waves interact with the magnetic field of our planet, and it induces high voltage into all things electronic, basically. And it happens in nanoseconds. That is extremely, extremely fast. A very small portion of a second. Basically, instantaneously happens, and there's really nothing we can do about it unless our devices are protected. Okay? A surge protector, like power strip surge protectors, those types of things, they technically could stop an E1 wave if they clamp down quick enough. Most of our store-bought surge protectors do not clamp down, stop the circuit fast enough to stop this. And so it gets through before the device can detect it and stop it. So the websites that I mentioned earlier, we'll talk about them again here in a minute. Those sites and other sites sell specific types of surge protectors that will react quick enough, detect it, and stop it. Okay? There's a term there, and I'm going to blank on it. They send it to ground, basically. They send that electrical energy to ground. But the big thing is there, most of your surge protectors won't work, and so it will fry your electronics. It will be too fast. The second part is very similar to a lightning strike type of effect. And most of your surge protectors would work against the E2 portion of an EMP. Great. You have your electronics and surge protectors already, right? So it's protected. The problem is, this is a split second behind this. So when this hits first, and your surge protector can't stop it, it fries your surge protector and anything beyond it. So this also gets through and further destroys anything that wasn't already destroyed. Then the big one, the E3 portion. Again, all this happens in literally seconds. This happens in fractions of a second. This happens shortly thereafter. Then this happens last, but it can last for several minutes. And this is the one that destroys the power transmission systems of the whole country. Okay? It is electrical energy that will be induced in long stretches of electrical wire, like we distribute or transmit transmission lines across the country, and it will hit all the transformers in our country. And when they talk about, there's always, the government, you'll hear it if you listen for it, but they're trying to harden the electrical grid. Okay? And we should support those things. That will help this. Because when they harden the electrical grid, they're talking about this E3 thing here, it fries the transformers. Where are large electrical transformers made?
South Korea.
I'm guessing you actually know.
China.
They're not made in China. Most of them are made in Europe. Okay? And it is very, very, very difficult to get them. Most of them, we're talking big power transformers, not something on your electrical pole outside here. Okay, we're talking something huge. Most of them are made overseas, particularly Europe. Though there probably is some made in China. None are made in the United States. And they are all made to specification. So we don't store a bunch of them. Okay? So the average wait time for a new electrical transformer, big ones, when the system is all working properly, is 18 months. So when the E3 hits and it destroys huge portions of our electrical grid, including frying these huge electrical transformers, and then the wait time is 18 months in a good scenario, how how long is it going to take to get those back in place when thousands of them across the United States are out? Years and years and years. It's not something we can fix overnight. So even if we protected our electronics and we've got our stuff in a Faraday cage, how are you going to get electricity for that stuff? Because it's not going to be from the electrical grid. So you've not only got to have your stuff protected, you've got to find a way to generate electricity for it so that you can then use it. Because having a Faraday cage full of electronics isn't going to do you any good if you don't have a way to power it or charge it. Okay? So something to consider. You got to have alternate sources of electricity, because if this EMP hits, it's going to destroy all your small electronics, and it's going to fry the power grid. So you're not going to have any way to charge it, even if you have electronics. Why do we want electronics? Wouldn't life be simpler if we didn't have a cell phone? If we didn't have a bunch of that stuff?
That's what it means to do.
So you go, nope, I like my electronics. Okay. I don't know, I can dream of the day when my cell phone doesn't drive me nuts. I can dream of a simpler life before we had all this electronic mess. But I can also guarantee you there's some things I would really miss. Things I would enjoy having. I'm thinking air conditioning right now, but I don't know that even my preps, as prepared as I may be, I don't have a preparedness for air conditioning. That takes a lot of electricity, and I certainly don't have an air conditioner inside my Faraday cage.
Believe it or not, people live before air conditioning.
No way.
We had
So-
box fans in the window.
My grandfather, who was 93, we just moved him to a nursing home this year. He has never lived in a house with air conditioning. He lives in Texas.
Oh, wow.
And central Texas, where it is very hot, 115, 120 in the summer is not uncommon. He has never had air conditioning until we moved him to the nursing home. And now he sits in the nursing home with multiple blankets and a stocking cap on all the time because 70 degrees is freezing to him. But yes, people lived before air conditioning. But houses were built differently back then. You've ever studied how houses were built to keep them cool? Houses nowadays, new houses, are not built that way. And so it's different. So, but in my Faraday cage, I have some fans. That's about as good as I'm going to get. Also enjoy having a basement because the basement stays cooler. There's some ways we can stay cool. But air conditioning is something we probably would miss. Lighting. How many of you would miss lighting? Do we really want to go back to a lantern, candles, those types of things? I'm prepared for that, but I also would much rather have some lighting available. So we'll talk about some things you may want to put in your Faraday cage here in just a minute. We talked about that. Preparing for an EMP attack. The most important parts of preparing for an EMP attack are the same steps as preparing for any extended scenario with no electricity. And I can't emphasize that statement enough. The most important parts of preparing for any emergency scenario are not your electronics. Yes, we're talking about electronics tonight because it would be cool to have some of these things. But the most important way of preparedness is not talking about electronics when an EMP happens. What's going to be of most value to you and to everybody else when the EMP attacks? Ammo. Water. Food. Security, shelter. All the things that are going to be of utmost importance in any other emergency scenario. So I encourage you tonight, though we're talking about electronics specifically, don't neglect preparedness like you normally would. You're still going to need water because the water treatment plant's not going to be working. You're still going to need water if you're on a rural well. Why? Because your water well is probably not going to be working. So you need a plan for water, which we've talked about here before. You need a plan for food. You need a plan for security or protection. You need a plan for shelter, heating your home, and those types of things. All those things are more important than the electronics. However, we try to talk about a lot of things in our meetings, so tonight we're talking about electronics. Okay? So the most important things are the other things: the food, water, shelter, security, medical, all those types of things. Okay? And if you want a really great list, if you're new to this preparedness thing, this book right here is a great place to start. Okay? It talks about the 14 basic needs for being prepared. So this is a great place to start. Very detailed, very organized, well thought out book telling you exactly what are the things you're going to need. Okay? So how do you protect your electronics? Protection is all about, and here's a big scientific term, decibels of attenuation. Anyone want to define decibels of attenuation? I'm going to try to give you the best example I can. Okay? The other place that we commonly talk about decibels of attenuation is in hearing protection. Okay? When you buy earplugs or earmuffs, okay, when you get them for work or you get them for shooting or whatever you're doing that you're buying ear protection for, it'll have a rating on there. It'll say NRR. What does that stand for? Noise reduction rating, and it'll give you a number. Typically that number is 28, 29, 30, 31, something like that. Okay? That NRR, noise reduction ratio, is listed in decibels of attenuation. So 31, as an example, decibels of attenuation. That is how much it reduces the noise coming in. When you stick in a pair of earplugs, does it completely eliminate the sound? No, it doesn't. It reduces it. And it reduces it enough, the idea here is, it reduces it enough that it protects your hearing. But it doesn't eliminate the sound. If you put earplugs in and you put earmuffs over them and you doubled it up, is it going to eliminate sound? No. It doesn't eliminate sound, but it further reduces it. Okay? That is decibels of attenuation. So when we're talking about protecting electronics from an EMP, you have the EMP signal coming in trying to damage your electronics. And we want to attenuate it, reduce it enough so that it doesn't damage your electronics. So when people say, I've got a Faraday cage, and a common thing to make a Faraday cage is an ammo box, okay? I've got an ammo box, and nothing can get in there. Yeah, something's getting in there, okay? Some of that harmful signal is getting in, but what you're trying to do is you're trying to use the ammo can as a Faraday cage to reduce it to the point that it's no longer strong enough to hurt your electronics. So the more powerful the EMP, what is also true about your Faraday cage? It has to be more protective. And again, depending on the electronics and how sensitive they are, and depending on how strong the EMP is, determines how much attenuation you need. How much reducing of that harmful signal you need. So let's talk about that for a second. So, let's go to this chart here. You have that chart in your notes. You also have that chart in the book. When you picked up the free book, by the way, it was not free to me. I had to pay $11 for them, but I wanted you guys to have them because it's really important, so I'm offering them to you for free, by the way. So, but this chart is in that book, and I don't know what page it's on, but it's in that book. It's also in your notes. But this talks about various types of EMP protection. Okay, so we have a fire safe, a static bag. Which I don't have a fire safe example here, but I do have a static bag. So these are EMP bags you can buy. It is basically the same thing that we store food in. It's a Mylar bag. I had someone say, no, a Mylar bag can't be used for EMP protection, it's plastic. That person did not know, this was on Facebook, did not know what a Mylar bag is. A Mylar bag is basically a piece of aluminum foil laminated between two pieces of plastic. So it is a metal bag, okay? So this is from Blackout, which is blackoutshield.com that sells EMP products. So I bought this for my laptop. Okay, so my laptop inside there. These bags are available. I think I got 3 of them for $25. Okay, but this is a static bag. Okay, an ammo can. So properly done, and we'll talk about properly done here in a minute. An ammo can be, by the way, metal ammo can, not a plastic one, can be a Faraday cage. A microwave oven can be a Faraday cage. Okay? A foil box. We're going to talk a lot about foil boxes, but taking aluminum foil and properly wrapping your items in aluminum foil, you wrap them like a Christmas present, okay? That can be a Faraday cage. It can stop it. Full box compost can, so like a metal trash can type thing. A taped garbage can, particularly we're talking here the metal silver looking ones that kind of from the days gone by, but you can still get them. You got the lid, take on and off. A taped garbage can, so you got a regular garbage can, a taped garbage can, and then a taped garbage can with a static bag. So you're doubling up, you're doing 2 of these things. So the goal here is to have at least 50 decibels of attenuation. At least 50. Okay? The more the better. Okay, but we want at least 50. Well, the other factor here is the frequency of the EMP. As we get a higher frequency, this being the highest here, notice some things don't work as well as others. Matter of fact, at this frequency, 1 gigahertz, the only thing that worked was double doing it with the garbage can and a static bag. Okay? Did these other things reduce it some? Yes, they reduced it some, but it wasn't as effective as we needed it to be to protect the items. So the question comes up, which frequency is the EMP going to be? Come on, someone's got an answer, right?
It's broadband.
We don't know the answer to that necessarily. We don't know what China's going to shoot at us. We don't know what Russia's going to shoot at us. But I can tell you this. The last decade, there's been an emphasis, and again, I don't have any secret military knowledge, and I'm sure there's people that do that know more than I do about this, but even the public knowledge says this. Over the last decade, both China and Russia and the U.S. have developed what they call super EMPs, or enhanced EMPs. EMP used to just be a side effect of a nuclear device. But they said, hey, we should actually try to make the EMP portion of this nuclear device more powerful. And so they've made super EMPs or enhanced EMPs that are more powerful. And virtually all of them have a higher frequency. That's one of the things they found that makes them more effective. So you can probably guarantee that if it's China or Russia that's shooting one at us, that they've got a higher frequency one. And so what does that mean? You better have double protection. If you're only putting it in a microwave oven, prefer one you're not using, okay? Which, by the way, microwave ovens leak radiation. But if you're only putting it in a microwave oven, then you're probably not going to be protected enough. If you're only doing the foil box, you're probably not going to be protected enough. My recommendation is you do multiple things, and we're going to talk about that here in just a minute. Question?
Do you know if our government has hardened our, electronic infrastructure enough to protect it from, damage of electronic communications?
They have been attempting to,
They're gonna get a real sucker.
but I can guarantee you they haven't done enough.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
Yes, sir.
Okay, given the way homes are built, all the copper wiring in there,
I'll be available.
all the fasteners, all the plates,
Am I gonna come this
everything
week for the
rebar, the
drop-offs?
concrete, how much protection would a home give if your Faraday cage was in the basement, underground?
The home itself would add zero additional protection
If you had metal
to your
siding,
Faraday cage unless you have metal roof and sides and that type of thing. You would have better protection in your shop that's made of a metal roof and metal walls and metal sides than you would inside your wooden house or your brick house. Wood and brick would provide no attenuation to note. We'll talk about various ways. So let's go back to that. That's a good lead into that. So, ways of increasing your attenuation. We want as much attenuation as possible. We're trying to get above 50. So here are the different ways. First thing you can do, you can turn off your devices. Okay? A device that's on when the EMP hits is much more likely to be destroyed than a device that is off. Okay? The internal circuitry will help keep the damaging radio signals from going between the different components. The next thing you can do, unplug things. Anything that's not plugged into the wall, if it's unplugged, the E2 and the E3 components of the EMP won't affect it at all. E2 and E3 can only affect things that are plugged in or things with long electrical wires to induce voltage into. Okay? So unplugging will help. Shielded structure. So we talked about a house here, okay? There are shielded structures that you could make. Certainly things underground, inside concrete, completely enclosed. Could be helpful. Some people said, well, can I make my entire house a Faraday cage? You technically can, okay? I mean, if you've got the money and the time to put up a solid steel structure as far as steel on the outside, steel roof, no windows, steel doors, and you gotta go through and you gotta gasket, steel gasket all the openings. I mean, it's possible to do. It is not easy to do, but you can do it in structure. Static or EMP bags, we talked about that. I showed you these EMP bags. I also use this type. This is made, these are like $10 on Amazon. Made for a cell phone is what they're made for. I don't use them for a cell phone, but it's an EMP bag. It's got a lining in it. I use this for my thumb drive that has all of my preparedness documents on it. Okay, so and we've offered the free download of stuff, and you can still do that. If you bring me a blank or a thumb drive that has at least 2 gig of space, I will download you, give you free of charge, the thousands and thousands of pages of prepper documents I have that I keep on my thumb drive. Okay? So I have a thumb drive with thousands of pages of preparedness-related documents. Put them in this bag. I keep this bag. I keep 2 of them, actually. One of them I keep on my desktop so I can quickly add stuff to my thumb drive. The other one I keep inside my Faraday cage so that it's double protected. Okay? The other bag like this, I keep my laptop in it inside my Faraday cage so that it's double protected. Then I have a laptop that I can use to get the documents off of my thumb drive. Does that all make sense? Okay? People are like, why do you need a computer when an EMP hits? Well, I'm not planning on surfing the internet. I don't need Facebook. Okay? But what I want to have a computer for is I've got literally thousands and thousands of pages of documents that will help me with skills and knowledge, and I can access those because I have a laptop that I keep inside my Faraday cage. Some people use a phone or a tablet. Again, when this happens, I don't expect my cell phone to talk to somebody. But you may want to have your cell phone available or a backup cell phone in a Faraday cage that can have documents and information saved on it. Yes?
Do you have a small solar charger in a Faraday cage so that you can charge your laptop so you can read your documents?
I do. We'll talk about that. Great. We'll get to it here in just a minute. I will give you a listing of the types of things that I have inside my Faraday cage here in just a minute. So, static EMPs, Faraday cage. We're going to talk specifically about how to build a Faraday cage and that type of thing here in just a few minutes. So, a Faraday cage is just the name of the device that protects it from an EMP or a solar storm and those types of things. So we'll talk about different types of Faraday cages and how to build one here shortly. Surge protection. Surge protectors, if they're properly rated for an EMP, they will work against an E1, E2, and E3 aspects of an EMP. Okay? They are not cheap.
Yeah, so if turning off your electrical equipment would maybe protect it from the EMP, then turning off the circuit breaker in your house would help too, correct?
It would help, particularly the E3 aspect. And we talk about E1, E2, and E3. E3 is the one that comes in that way, through the plugs and that type of stuff. E1 can fry electronics that are not connected.
Oh, okay, yeah.
E1 will fry every electrical circuit board that is not protected by a Faraday cage or something like that. Or one of these surge protectors, I'm told work. They work against the E1, E2, and E3. They what's called shunt to ground. That's the technical term.
So it takes out our phones, our cars, and all that stuff that we want.
Potentially, we will talk about cars here in just a minute. Cars are up for debate. We'll talk about the debate here in a second. But yes, I do not plan on having a car after this, except for I protected it. Okay, you can get these surge protection devices. Both of the websites that I mentioned earlier, EMPshield.com and disasterprepare.com, both sell devices for your home, whole home protection, approximately $400. Whole car protection, approximately $400. Your RV, your generator, your solar system, all the type of things you would want to protect, $400 a pop. Approximately, you can protect it. Okay? And supposedly these are built to military specifications where the military said, this is what an EMP device we need and we want you to protect this. They built these devices and tested it to the military specifications. And supposedly these devices will protect from E1, E2, and E3 aspects of an EMP. They even give you a $25,000 lifetime guarantee. However, I can guarantee you no one's going to be collecting on that if it doesn't work after an EMP. Okay.
The home one, though, is probably the best value. It protects everything that's plugged into an outlet in your home.
Correct. So this is the one case where keeping it plugged in might actually be beneficial. If it's plugged in and you have the whole home device installed properly, then technically it's supposed to protect. Those devices also protect against lightning strikes. That's $25,000. So if the house gets struck by lightning, you know, and that type of thing, there's a $25,000 guarantee for that too. Absolutely. Yeah. She said that won't the roads be so littered with cars that you couldn't move your car anyway? That's why I have a four-wheel drive. Yeah. So yes, potential. So surge protection is available. And again, I use that. I have one of these devices in my house. I have it installed in my house, $400. Install it to the electrical panel. If you're not good with electricity, you're going to also have to hire an electrician. I did mine myself, but you may not do yours yourself. But it wires into your electrical panel. I have these devices on my cars. Okay? And again, my goal would be I hope they work. And I think it's worth the choice. Ferrites. What are ferrites? We've probably all seen a ferrite on a piece of electronics in and we don't know what it is. I meant to bring one and I forgot. But they're different sizes, but they're these little magnets that clamp around an electrical cord. And we've seen, got this electrical cord going to something electronic, and it's got a little thing, usually about an inch long, that clamps around it. It's typically the same color as the electrical cable. That's a ferrite. What they do, they're magnets, they're a special kind of magnet, and they slow down any impulse waves. And the idea is when this electrical wave or this surge comes across through your electrical wiring, it will slow it down slow enough that the typical surge protector can catch it. Okay? So a lot of people, particularly disasterprepper.com, that's the PhD guy who wrote your book. He recommends adding ferrites both to your house, your car, and any important electrical devices. And that again slows down that surge, that pulse, so that your standard surge protection devices can catch it is the idea. Okay, and he sells special ones there that you can get. You can also buy them off the internet and other places. A double conversion online UPS. Okay, this is not UPS, the delivery company. This is uninterruptible power supply. So the battery backups for your computers, your UPS device there. There's a special kind called double conversion online units. You can buy those, and anything you plug into them will be protected from an EMP. Okay? They're very expensive. Communications, people say, well, my regular cell phone works. Your regular cell phone probably will not work, because if your cell phone wasn't fried, probably the communications tower that's communicating with will be fried. Okay? At least if it's fried, not fried, it's going to be on a backup generator that won't last very long. So satellite phones are one possibility. Most of the satellites in space, for various reasons, will not be affected by an EMP. Okay? And so if you had a satellite phone that was in your Faraday cage, you could potentially, I'm not promising anything, talk on the phone using that. But who are you going to talk to? Everybody you want to call probably doesn't also have a satellite phone. So anyway, mil-spec items. So there is a military spec for EMP protection, and there can be certain products, like for example the surge protectors that I talked about earlier. They can be specified, this meets this military specification for EMP protection, and you can buy those items. Those items are typically very expensive. Of course, our government buys them. We're going to pay more for everything, right? But they are available. See a couple of hands? Yes?
I wonder, when you talk about the satellite phones, what about ham radios?
Okay. Ham radios will be equally effective in devices as any other electronics. However, just like you can get surge protection devices for your generator, for your RV, for your house, all that, you can get special surge protection devices made specifically for ham repair, and then they could just give it back to the manufacturers. So they never really tested the vehicles. Surprisingly, they never found a single vehicle that was damaged more than just dying and turning it back on. Duh. You know, the parameters of the whole thing were laughable. Only our government can do something like that. Waste literally tens of millions of dollars for a scientific experiment that the limitations on it proved it to be virtually worthless. So anyone that tells you, oh, they tested it against cars and it never had any detrimental effects. It just would make it turn off and you turn it right back on. They haven't read the actual EMP studies, and they would find out that they really didn't test it thoroughly. Okay? So there is some speculation that because of the metal that's in cars and the short wiring, it's not long wiring like the transmission lines, and for various reasons, and nothing's actually plugged into the grid, that cars might sustain little to limited injury from an EMP. But again, these studies were done 30 and 40 years ago. What has happened in the area of electronics with our cars over the last 30 to 40 years? They have absolutely huge increase in the amount of electronics in our cars. I just can't imagine And y'all know, one little thing wrong with that computer chip, and our car does not work. Okay? You know, she asked about scooters. They're probably still going to have some electronics. Virtually everything has an electronic fuel injection. So if it doesn't get fuel, it doesn't work. You know, some people said, well, I'm going to get an older car. I'm going to get a 1950s, 1960s, 1970s car, and they don't have electronics. Actually, I think that's a pretty good idea. Okay, if you want to get a car that old before they have electronics. Some people say, well, I'm going to get a car and carry spare parts of everything that could go wrong. Well, that's not a bad idea either, if you have a car that's probably from the 70s or 80s. If you try to get a replacement for every electronic part on a new car, I would buy one car replacement, because that's everything. Yes, sir?
What is this metal?
Yeah, what is this metal part? Exactly, most of them are plastic nowadays, right? Yeah, and that's another downside to the modern cars. They're getting more electronics and less metal to protect it. And certainly, what metal there is, it's not totally sealed. Okay, so limited effect. So what do they have? They have several different devices that are available out there. And I think I've got a slide here. Just a second. Here we go. So here's some things. This right here, made by Siemens, and this particular one right here is what the disaster prepper sells. It looks surprisingly identical, with just a different name on it, to the one that EMP Shield sells. Okay? But this is the basic device. It's about yay big. Okay, about that big, about the size of a brick. Okay? That's the device that can go in your house. Slightly different version of it that goes in your car, slightly different version that goes in your RV, those types of things. Again, about $400. Super easy to install, in my opinion. But again, I do have electrical experience. Other things, these devices here, and you can kind of get the perspective. This goes in your cigarette lighter in your car. This one's designed for your generator. You stick it in the plug of your generator, the out plug. But these are from Dr. Arthur Bradley, disasterprepare.com. They sell these for about $60 a piece. This is supposed to go in your cigarette lighter in your car. It's supposed to protect the car. They also have another one that you can wire on your battery terminals for about $60. Okay? I have one on my battery terminals, and I have one in my cigarette lighter both. Okay? And another vehicle I have this one. So these are plugs you put in your generator. Again, it's supposed to, in this case, trap the signal that comes out of the EMP. These are the Faradays that we were talking about earlier that clamp around electrical cords. They make them from all different sizes of electrical cords. And I bought a bunch of them and put them around all the important things that I keep plugged in. Okay? You can also get them from disasterprepare.com. So, talking about vehicle protection, the last thing about vehicle protection, and it actually works on a variety of things, generators or whatever, is what's called EMP cloth. So, this stuff, you can buy cloth in various sizes, and this is impregnated with metal. This amount of cloth cost me $24. So you can get it in bigger pieces. I just bought this as a sample. This is the smallest piece I could buy. And you can make like tarps and blankets out of this stuff and drape it over and around like a generator or your car or a scooter or an ATV or something like that. And it's supposed to protect it from an EMP. I've got several different samples you can come look. That's the cloth one. There's one here that is actually, it looks like a fabric, but it's actually more like window screen. You can see through it. Okay? It's very finely woven copper mesh. And again, you can make this, a big piece of this would make a Faraday cage around a device, around something, a car, a ATV or something like that. And here's, again, Faraday fabric from another source. This one was a little bit cheaper. I think this one was $20 or something for something here. It comes with tape to seal it on a seam. But again, just different kinds of fabric that you can protect devices. You can build your own Faraday bag. You can wrap items and that type of thing. So that's another option. A fairly expensive option, but an option nonetheless. You are welcome to come up here and look at those things. All this stuff is up here for you to come and look at. That's why I bring it along. So let's talk. I think we're to the point where we're talking about Faraday cages. So first thing I'll recommend is because of the super EMPs that come at higher frequencies, we saw in that little chart, that we must have double protection. If you really have something important that you want to protect, it must be double protected. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. So first what you do, determine which items you want to protect. I want to protect, in my case, for example, a thumb drive and a laptop computer. I want to protect an alarm system. I have a backup alarm system that I put in there. Different things like that. Determine, make a list of them. Some people, when they build a Faraday cage, they line it with cardboard or plastic to keep things from touching it. I don't do that because every item I put in there is wrapped in plastic wrap, double wrapped. These layers are probably 5 or 6 thick of the plastic wrap. Okay, questions on that? So everything I'm going to put in there, I plastic wrap it, full wrap it in plastic wrap.
One thing you can do is wrap it between layers so you've got it double protected.
So you're saying foil, plastic wrap, foil again.
Then it's in 2 containers.
Sure.
So
Okay.
the outer one will stop X amount of decibels, then the inner one will stop X amount of decibels, better than both of them combined.
Okay, absolutely good. Good. Okay, so we're going to individually wrap the items, place it in the secondary cage, which for me is this. Okay, we'll talk about that here in a little bit. Make sure I've labeled the items individually. So every item, like for example, here's another one I've done. This is my solar charger. Okay, my solar charger for my solar system is wrapped just like I described. 2 layers of aluminum foil, plastic wrap. I've got the instructions right here so I know what's in there. So make sure you've labeled the individual items, and also make sure you label the outside of the container. If you come up and look at my Faraday cage, I've got a listing here taped to the lid of everything that's in here. Now it's empty right now. I actually emptied it because I didn't want to bring all this stuff up here, okay? But I'll show you what it is. So that's what I've done. So I've labeled it. So let's talk about building a Faraday cage real quick. So Faraday cages are built of various things. The 2 most common things that they're built of is ammo cans and some type of a trash can. I like to use the 55-gallon drum. The reason I use the 55-gallon drum is they're cheap. Okay, I picked this one up for $16 with a lid, with a ring. Rings are really important. Okay, 55-gallon drum. This is an old pickle barrel. I get it at Race Brothers. I don't know where Race Brothers is. Race Brothers Farm and Ranch Supply. It's about 3 miles that way on Kearney Street. But for $16, you can pick up all of them you want. Okay, make sure they have a good lid, and most importantly, make sure they come with a good locking ring. Okay, you get all that for $16, at least last time I was there. Okay, that's all the expense involved in making my Faraday cage is $16. That's a pretty cheap Faraday cage. Now I've still got to buy aluminum foil and some shrink wrap and some tape to wrap the individual items. But for $16, I get the main Faraday cage. So what do? A couple things. I want to make sure that the lid seals well, so I'll sand my edge here. Okay? I will make sure that when I put the lid on it, that I properly seal the locking ring. It's really important that the locking ring goes on there and it seals properly. Okay? There's different kinds of locking rings. This is the type I lock because it literally just takes a couple of seconds to do it. Some of them have a big bolt, which are equally good at protecting your contents, but the bolt takes a while to get on and off. Okay? Yes?
Even though that ring's on there and it's locked down tight, I've heard that you should use the Faraday tape that you put around it to seal it all in.
If this was a normal, the aluminum trash cans, definitely so. You can certainly get the aluminum foil tape to go around here, and I'm not discouraging that at all. I don't, because I get in and out of my Faraday cages fairly regularly, and I believe my opinion, but this locking ring adequately seals the gap there. But yes, absolutely, people do that, and particularly on the trash can versions, the metal trash cans, galvanized trash cans, they definitely put the foil tape that you can pick up at the heating and air section of your home improvement store around there. Good. So some people, you definitely don't want the contents touching the inside of the can without being insulated. How I resolve that is I wrap them in a plastic wrap. Okay? Some people will put cardboard or a plastic tarp or something in there because you don't want the metal of the can touching the contents of the cage. So you need either cardboard, plastic, or what I recommend is wrapping your items individually. Basically stick them in there, seal them up, and you're good to go. You've got double protection with your EMPs, which I recommend. So other options, some people use the ammo cans. This is a brand new ammo can I picked up at Bass Pro just for sample purposes. You can get the used one, that's fine too. They're getting expensive. This ammo can costs more than that 55-gallon drum. If you're like me, I need 2 55-gallon drums to store all my stuff. If I tried to put it in ammo cans, I'd be out of luck because I've got items that don't fit in here. Here's a good example. I ain't gonna fit that in my ammo can. Okay? Now, obviously, you can make larger ammo cans. You can do that too. Word of caution, if you're using an ammo can, a couple of things you need to make sure you do. Really, really, really important. There's a rubber gasket around the seal here. That must be removed. That makes a good airtight, watertight seal, but it actually lets in the EMP. So you need to remove the rubber seal, then you need to fill it back in with something metal. They make a metal gasket that you can get, disasterrepair.com, or you could remove the plastic seal, close it tight, and then use the foil tape around the edge to completely seal it. Okay? But your EMP will come inside your Faraday cage if you don't address the sealing of the lid. Any questions on any of that so far?
Yes. After the EMP, you go to your Faraday cage and you touch it. Will you get a shock from static charge?
Possibly. So some people say your Faraday cage needs to be grounded or bonded. Okay? The answer to that, according to Dr. Bradley and other experts that I've read, is it doesn't have to be grounded or bonded. It will protect the contents without bonding or grounding. However, it could hold a small static charge, very similar to when you walk across the carpeted floor and you touch a door. So if you want to ground it so that when you touch it you don't get that little electrical charge, then that would work for that. But it doesn't need to be grounded to protect the contents.
An easy way, instead of using a cardboard, is they sell 55-gallon drum liners. Put 2 of them. Put one inside the other, line that thing, and put everything on that.
Great idea. And I like that idea.
That helps with waterproof too.
Basically a trash can liner for the 55-gallon drums. You can buy those. Definitely use 2 of them because if you poke a hole in that and you don't have other protection, then you basically can negate the effect of your Faraday cage. Yes?
Would something buried underground protect it from the EMP?
Potentially. We're talking underground like a nuclear bunker underground. So underground, several feet underground potentially, concrete.
How many feet underground?
I'm not going to elaborate on the specifics of that, but there is, we talked about a fortified structure earlier, and that is one way that they say some of that can be protected. Okay, let's talk what to put in it. These are things that I put in it. We'll open the floor up here in a minute for other things that you may want to put in there. I put portable radios, and 2 kinds of radios. I'm talking that AM, FM, shortwave type radio that you would listen on. I have that in my Faraday cage. Okay. I also have walkie-talkies, ham radio type equipment. inside my Faraday cage. I have both types of things in there. Okay? GPS. Here's my GPS unit. I got it out. It is in its box, brand new, wrapped in. By the way, always take the batteries out of this type stuff. Don't store it with batteries in it. And wrapped in foil and then wrapped in plastic. Okay? And it's marked GPS on it. So I think that'll work. Again, the idea being that most satellites will not be affected, so you could use it as a mapping device to get around. Alarms. I think this is really important. And again, several different kinds of alarms. One thing that I highly recommend, and I'm a firefighter, and so I understand the importance of this, but carbon monoxide and smoke alarms. Okay? Hopefully you have these in your house already, but an EMP is probably going to fry every smoke alarm and carbon monoxide alarm you have in your house, even in the unprotected. Okay? And especially an EMP comes, it fries your alerting devices, and then it also fries your heating system, and you start using your fireplace or your wood stove. You're more likely to need a smoke alarm or carbon monoxide alarm in those cases. So I highly recommend getting extra ones and storing them inside your Faraday cage. Yes, sir.
Getting back to GPS, after 9/11, the military turned off all commercial use of GPS.
Mine
It's
still
very
work.
disconcerting to go out deer hunting, looking for a tree stand, not having any satellite reception.
Huh. I don't know. Every time I try to use mine, it works. Now, that doesn't mean that the government certainly has control of that, and they could
Something
actually turn it
nefarious
off.
happens.
What's that?
If something nefarious happens,
Oh, absolutely.
GPS is going to be turned off for commercial use.
Yeah, and they absolutely could. Absolutely. But I'm going to go on the chance that it is going to be working, and it may not be. But at least I have it if I want it, so that's an option. Going back to alarms, I showed you these little indoor sensors, motion sensors that I have. I also use these, and as far as security, home security, and that type of thing, even now, this is one of the greatest things I've ever found. And they're made in China. I'm sorry. I can't find a place that makes them that's not in China. But they're called driveway alarms, is what they are. But they're these little devices here, and they come in camouflage, they come in other colors. But they're solar powered, you stick them around the outside of your property, okay? And then they report back to a little base you have inside. And each base can hold up to 8 units and different sounds for each unit. So when someone drives in my driveway, as soon as they pass my mailbox, I know that someone is there because the sound for that sensor rings in my house. And as they get closer and they pass the next group of trees, there's another sensor there. It tells me they're getting closer to my house. And I've got them all the way around my house. And I can tell by the sound they make which sensor is being activated. Okay? These sets, this one's a set of, I think it's a set of 4. A set of 4 sensors in one base unit is like $140. But it might be well worth it. I've actually got all 8 set up. And I have a lot more than 8 in backup. They're in my Faraday cages, ready to be used in the future. Because I want to be able to know if someone is coming up to my house before an EMP and after an EMP.
Links to everything that he talks about today in this PowerPoint will be on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, so we're videoing this. We edited it. It takes a week or so to edit it, because we edit out the faces of the people, so that you're not on our video, only my faces. And then we'll have links to the video. We'll have links to all the stuff we talk about. If you have a question about that, I'll also post the links immediately, probably tonight or tomorrow, on our Facebook page if you're part of our Facebook page. So alarms, lights. Again, I really like modern lighting. I don't want to have to live by a candle or a lantern. And so, different sources of light, LED lights and those type of things. By the way, a regular light bulb, an incandescent light bulb, would likely not be affected by an EMP because there's no electronic circuitry there. However, all LED bulbs will be. Okay? But then you still got to worry about where you get your power from. But lights, electrical testers, I use an electrical multimeter. Again, I have an electrical background, and so I like to be able to test and fix things, so I put that in there. I put various types of night vision, and I'm looking to upgrade my night vision, and I want to talk about it when we do our bug out camp. So if you're coming to bug out camp, you're going to get to play with my night vision stuff. But I think night vision is going to be really important in property security. And so I keep night vision devices inside my Faraday cage. A laptop and charger, we've talked about that already. My thumb drive with my documents on it. Battery chargers and rechargeable batteries. All your small rechargeable batteries, AA, AAA, all that type of thing, if they're rechargeable, they will not be usable. Okay? Standard batteries, just a standard AA and standard AAA will be good. Okay? But they won't be good for very long because you'll use them and they'll be dead. And so I recommend you have rechargeable batteries for use as prepping, and but they will be affected by an EMP, so you need to keep them in a Faraday cage. 12-volt charger, again, to charge batteries and those types of things. I recommend having one of those. It's like a car charger for your battery. First aid electronics, again, I can take blood pressure without an electronic cuff, but I like an electronic cuff. I can take temperature without an electronic, scan the forehead one, but I like having it. So for me, inside my Faraday cage, I have what I call first aid electronics. And again, I can do it the old-fashioned way, but I'd much rather do it the modern way. I have a Geiger counter. If they're shooting EMPs at us, they're probably going to follow them up with nuclear devices that actually go to ground. And so I want a Geiger counter that detects nuclear radiation. I have one of those in my Faraday cage. Solar charger. Again, this is one of the solar chargers that I have inside my Faraday cages. And again, this controls your solar panels. It lets them charge batteries. Okay? Will solar panels be affected by an EMP? Probably. Okay. Do they have computer chips in them? Okay. The main thing in the actual panel, there's a diode that it's a single directional diode that lets the electrical current only flow one way. So your solar panels at night help drain your batteries. Okay? That diode will be affected. The actual panels itself will not be. Okay? But the diode will be affected. Your charger will be affected. Your inverter will be affected. All the inside your house components will absolutely be affected. Okay? And you can get $400, a magic number. You can get one of those boxes and connect it to your system. It's supposed to protect the whole system. The inverter, again, going from 12 volt to 120 volt. That's the inverter we're talking about here. And here's what I love the most. Is Caleb's wall tools. I put cordless power tools inside my Faraday cage. Why? I've got a handsaw that I can use if I need to build or repair something. But would I much rather have my DeWalt cordless tool? I would. I've got a bit and brace. Y'all know what a bit and brace is for drilling a hole? And it works. Okay? But I would much rather have a power drill. So I've got my cordless tools inside my Faraday cage. And I buy the same tools that I use every day so that they're somewhat interchangeable if something happens to survive. But I basically have to have two sets. I have a set I use every day, and I have a spare set that is inside my Faraday cage. All of this stuff are not things that I use every day. The stuff that I use every day, I keep outside my Faraday cage, and then I have a backup set of it that is inside my Faraday cage. Okay? Questions on that so far? So, what items are not needed in a Faraday cage? Obviously, anything that's not electronic. These would say sandwiches. Okay, now sandwiches, they don't have to be in there. Food, water, those type of things. Extension cords do not have to be inside the Faraday cage. Okay? Car batteries or non-rechargeable type AA, AAA, those type batteries do not have to be in Faraday cages. Standard batteries and cords. Okay? say you go home and everybody fixes it, everybody builds themselves a Faraday cage, everybody puts everything in there that they want, and you're ready to go. And China launches something, and another balloon flies over, and it's an EMP, and all of a sudden, power's out, and you're like, yes, I am prepared. Okay? You go in there, you rip open your Faraday cage, you just bring all that stuff out, and you plug it in, and you got a generator, you've got a solar system, you've got all this stuff, and you are king of the mountain. What's China going to do next?
Follow up, take away.
They're going to follow you up with a second. I highly recommend that when it all hits the fan, you only take stuff out of here as you need it, and then when you are not using it, you put it right back in there. Because if they're smart, and if I'm smart enough to figure it out, I'm pretty sure China's smart enough to figure it out, that they will send one, they'll wait a day or two, and then they'll send another one. Why? To catch all the people who took their stuff out of their Faraday cage. Yes, sir.
Quick question, your fuel generators, how do you protect those?
Okay. The generator itself, I actually have a small generator that fits inside my Faraday cage. It's wrapped in foil, and it's in its new box, and it's inside my Faraday cage. Other generators that are too big to go inside a 55-gallon drum, you can wrap them in Faraday cloth. You can buy one of these for $60, or one of these for $400, and you can protect the generators.
How does that protect the generator that's just sitting there waiting to be plugged in?
It still has, most of your modern generators are still going to have electrical circuits inside there, and those items, again, I'm not the PhD that tells how they work, but supposedly that is able to shunt that electrical surge.
Back to the green. In other words, if that, is the generator he's talking about, is it plugged in or not?
No, it's one of those portable ones, dual fuel kind of things.
So he's got a bare generator sitting there. How is that going, that device?
I do not know the answer to that question. These have ground wires that shunt it back to ground that way. Like I say, I'm not a scientist, I'm not the guy that invented it, but supposedly that somehow
I think
absorbs it or
it's
something.
coming from the outlet is how that would work.
Yeah, this plugs into the outlet where you would normally plug in an extension cord to the generator. That plugs into that.
But just sitting there on bare ground, fall or something.
I think the idea with the whole house one is you plug the generator into an outlet in your house and then protect it that way.
Yeah, the whole house generator version is wired into the generator somehow. I'm not exactly sure. I don't have one of those, so I haven't spent that $400. The thing anything you plan on running off generator, you got to have fuel for that generator. What's the best kind of fuel to have for your generators? Well, sun, solar charge. But I'm talking an actual motor-driven generator.
Natural gas?
Propane is the best. Natural gas is good too. Natural gas and propane, neither one expire ever. Okay? Gas and diesel will go bad on you. Okay, even if you put the little additives in it, it still goes bad after a while. Propane and natural gas never go bad. And by the way, dual fuel generators that run on gas and propane are readily available and reasonably priced. So that's what I recommend. What's that? There's tri-fuel, you do the 3-fuel. Those are a little more expensive. I like the propane generators because I've got a 500-gallon propane tank in my backyard. 500 gallons of propane will power a generator a long time, especially if I'm using it only periodically as I need it. But there's a good video coming up soon. We've already recorded it, but we haven't edited it on our YouTube channel about propane and its many uses. So look for that. The last thing we'll talk about, Faraday Test App. There's a free app put out by one of the companies that produces these Faraday bags.
The front desk, please. Mason to the front desk. Thank you.
see the building over there. There's a Faraday test app. It looks like this. If you type in Faraday test, you download the free app. It looks like that. And you open it up. It looks like this. And it's designed so you can take like a Faraday bag, like such, or your Faraday cage. You download the app on your phone, pull up the app, turn on the app, put your phone inside the bag or inside the Faraday cage, leave it in there for a couple of minutes, then pull it back out, and it will tell you whether or not this successfully worked. Okay? Against a low-powered, low-frequency EMP. Am I sticking my life on it? No. I'm still double protecting everything I got. However, it is a free app. It's cool to play around with. Okay? And so, Faraday test app. And I think that's all. Yeah, that's all the Faraday presentation. Questions about EMP Faraday before we go to prizes?